Hi, everybody. I'm Conrad Ary, and welcome to my channel here on YouTube, my music channel, where I upload videos and my songs. So I just wanted to make this video because, there's a lot of controversy around artificial intelligence. I'm very transparent. I'm a lyricist and I'm a melodist. I create my own. Carol Bear Sager. She's she wrote my favorite song in the world. Her and Burt Bacharach. That's what friends are for. It was recorded by Dionne Warwick, Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight, Elton John. I love that song. It's my favorite song in the world, and so I stole that from Carol. She says that she doesn't consider herself a songwriter. She considers herself a lyricist, and so I started calling. I refer to myself as a lyricist as well. I'm a lyricist and a melodist. But um, so I'm very transparent about the fact that you know I create I write my own lyrics. All of the songs that you will hear on this channel or on other uh, platforms. I'm supposed to be on 150 different digital stores, Amazon, Apple, etc. All of my songs, I write the lyrics and I create the melodies. Um, but I depend on artificial intelligence to help me with the production, the vocals, the instrumentals, and all of that. And so I'm very transparent about that, and I'm not trying to hide anything. Um, I love artificial intelligence and the incredible power of artificial intelligence. And, I'm very transparent about that. But anyway, I wanted to make this video because um, I have a lot of stuff I want to get off my chest when it comes to artificial intelligence, when it comes to the creation of music and just the music business in general. And then I'm also going to be very critical in this video of my fellow songwriters, lyricists, melodists, creatives also. So I hope you, and I also want to just show people that, I'm a real person, I'm not, the people who want to disparage artificial intelligence and those of us who use it when it comes to music creation. They want to say that we're not real, we're fake or whatever. I'm very real. I have my family, my friends, etc. But anyway, first I want to start off, of course, with my background. So I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and there's a famous longitudinal study that was done. Um, they took these kids, these babies that were born addicted to crack, and they tracked them all the way into adulthood. And then they took these babies that were born poor and they tracked them all the way into adulthood. And it turns out that the kids who were born poor did worse in life than the kids who were born addicted to crack. So when you're born poor in America, you do worse than being born addicted to crack. That's how bad poverty is in this country, the devastating effects of poverty. And so my mother was the epitome of the working poor. Mama worked, but we were poor. I grew up in a public housing project. I don't know why, because, when you live in a public housing project, um, your rent is subsidized. The government pays part of your rent or something or whatever. But Mama never qualified for that. Mama worked for 30 years, and she always made too much money, so she had to pay the market rate. Her rent was never subsidized. And so as I've gotten older, I would love, Mama's gone, and so I would love to ask her, Mama, why did we live in public housing when we didn't have to? We could have lived anywhere. Because I don't think she realized the torment that I went through. I'm gonna speak for myself. I can't speak for my brothers. I have 4 brothers, and because so I grew we grew up in the CUNY homes in Houston, Texas, and the CUNY homes, on one side you have Cleburne, and on the other side you have Burkhead and Truxillo and Alabama, and so we lived on CUNY Street. There were other kids who lived in the CUNY homes too, but they lived on these other streets. But we lived on CUNY Street, the name of the place. And so my teachers and all the kids knew that I lived in the CUNY homes because I lived on CUNY Street. And they used to make fun of me. I'll never forget this boy, Charles Golden. Mama had bought a washing machine, and he argued me. I told him that we had a washing machine because he was trying to make fun of me because I lived in the CUNY homes. And so I told him, we have a washing machine. And he said, y'all don't have no washing machine. You can't have no washing machine. He argued me down that we didn't have a washing. We did have a washing machine. Mama had a washing machine. Mama was she was very possessive of, you could not drive her car. You could not touch the microwave. She had to operate the microwave. You couldn't touch her washing machine. She would wash the clothes. That's just the way she was. But anyway, so I don't know why we lived in public housing. And I was tormented for years because of that. Mama never knew that because we could have lived anywhere. But anyway, the point is that, Mama was a single parent. My father was not totally absent from my life. But he didn't do as much as he could have. I was born poor to a single mom, black male, public housing. I was supposed to be a statistic. But instead, I was the first in my family to graduate from college. Mama had some college training because for 10 years she worked for the Head Start program. And when you work with children, you have to take child development courses. And so the CUNY Homes is right across the street from Texas Southern University, historically black university in Houston, Texas. And so Mama went over and she took some child development classes. So she had some college training, but I was the first in my family to graduate from college. And I was also the first in my family to earn a master's degree. And I've been a teacher for 34 years. I teach for the Alief Independent School District here in Houston, Texas. I've worked in several school districts. Most of my career, I taught middle school math, but currently I'm a special education teacher. I do in-class support. I go in and I try to support students with who have special needs, students with services who need extra support with their work or whatever, with their behavior. I work at a behavior school. Students are sent to us because they've broken the law. Maybe they brought drugs to school. The law says that they have to be sent to an alternative campus. Or maybe they do a lot of fighting and the principal just wants them off the campus. And so we try to work with their behavior. We have an academic program. We continue their academic program, but our emphasis is on modifying their behavior and helping them to be more successful. And when they're sent to us for 30 days, 45 days, and then we send them back. They earn their way back to their campus. Yeah, their home campus. So that's what I do currently. So anyway, I'm a real person. Those the people who want to disparage artificial intelligence, they try to depict those of us who use artificial intelligence when it comes to music creation as we're fake, we're not real, and so I'm a real person. But anyway, so I want to talk about artificial intelligence as it pertains to music creation. People love to say that the music business is a business, and people need to pay more attention to the business side of the music business, because that's why you hear about people signing these horrible contracts in the music business. They sell millions of records, but they're broke because the industry preys on young people, 18, 19, 20-year-old people who just, they're not really into the business side of the music business. They just want to create music and sing and dance or whatever. But, you have to know about the business side of the music business. And you have to know, you cannot sign that contract. I mean, because there are people in the music business, they don't care if you sell 50 million copies. They will try to keep all of the money, as much of the money as they can for themselves. And their argument is that, well, you signed this contract, which is true, you did. But as a young person, you don't know, hey, I need professional advice before I sign this horrible contract. And so the predators, there are a lot of predators in this business. So you have to pay attention to. So people say, well, why do you use artificial intelligence? You could take your song to a human producer and let the human producer do it. Well, yeah, I could do that. But why would I do that? That's not good business. Because if I take my song to a human producer, and let's say he's one stop, he produces, he mixes, he masters, he's going to charge me hundreds, thousands of dollars. I'm not Taylor Swift. I'm not Drake. I'm not, Kendrick Lamar, one of these major stars with unlimited funds. They can pay for that. I don't. I don't have that kind of money. So I use artificial intelligence. I use Suno AI. That's my platform of choice. I pay them $100, $200 a year. It depends on what plan you have. And they are my, Suno will produce, it's a digital producer. And telling me to use a human producer is like telling Starbucks to pay more for their coffee beans when they don't have to. And they're not going to do that. They're going to pay as little as possible for their coffee beans without sacrificing quality too much. And that's business 101. You don't pay more, you pay less if you can, without sacrificing quality. And Suno AI, the quality is very good. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's not sonically perfect. But even some human, I was watching a YouTube video, and this guy, he was going back to the 70s and the 80s, and he was talking about records that had mistakes in them, errors in them. So human music, so-called human music, is not perfect either. Yeah, artificial intelligence, when it comes to music creation, is not perfect, but it's very good. And it's only going to get better. And why would I pay more when I don't have to? So that's business 101. So that's first and foremost. Then people say, well, it's fake. Well, look, if you go to the club Friday night, Saturday night, or you go to your favorite bar or whatever, and there are a lot of women walking around. They have fake titties, fake booties, fake lips, fake jowls, fake ears, fake eyebrows, fake hair, and the men know that that's a fake ass, that that's a fake titties, fake lips, fake eyelashes, fake hair. They know. They don't care because it looks good. That's all they care about. And it's the same thing with artificial intelligence. It sounds good. It is very good. And as far as being real or fake, at the Super Bowl this year, I found out Charlie Puth, he sang I didn't know that Whitney Houston, when she sang the Star Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl, she was lip syncing. I didn't know that. I thought she was singing for real. Was that fake? Charlie Puth, he sang the Star Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl this year. He was using some kind of auto-tune where his voice goes through and it makes sure that he's in perfect pitch and he sounds, is that real? Beyonce, she was caught on stage lip syncing. That's a common practice in the music business, in live performances. The performers, some of the older acts like Patti LaBelle and Shaka Khan and those people, they really singing. But some of these new people, they up there dancing and jumping all around. They're not singing. Their lips. Is that real? Is that fake? Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, are they real? No, but millions of children, millions of adults love those characters. People say, well, you don't own the music. That's not true. If I take my song and my melody to a human producer, okay, he's gonna do what Suno does. He's gonna add vocals, instrumental arrangement, all of that. That's called the master. That's a sound recording. That's the master. That's what you hear on the radio. I don't own that. The producer or the record label, whoever the artist is that's going to record the song, they're signed to a record label, maybe, possibly. They may be independent, but let's say they're signed to a record label. The record label pays for all this, so they own it, or the producer. I don't own that. The only thing that I own is the underlying composition, the lyrics, the melody, or the melodies, the harmonies, the rhythm. That's it. With Suno AI, if you have a paid subscription with them, they transfer the ownership of the entire recording to me. I own that. Now, the U.S. Copyright Office, the U.S. Copyright Office will not copyright anything that's 100% artificial intelligence. So the vocals, the instrumental, the production, that's AI. So that you can't copyright that. But my lyrics, my melodies, I can. But Suno still gives me ownership over the entire recording, even though I can't copyright parts of it. I still have the license and the authorship and the ownership of that work. By the way, when you go to the U.S. copyright website, I wrote my first song when I was 12. Mr. Howard Bonner was my teacher. He was an extraordinary educator. He passed away not too long ago. I credit him with changing the trajectory of my life. I remember telling him that I could write songs. And like a good teacher, he was encouraging and supportive. And so if you go into the U.S. Copyright Office website and you go to their search engine, you type my name in, my copyrights will come up. I got my first copyright in 1998. So I don't need Suno to write a song for me. I've been writing songs for 45 years. But what I do need help with is the production. Now, people who want to disparage artificial intelligence, those of us who use it in music creation, they'll say, well, you're stealing. That's their favorite thing to say. They love to say that people are stealing people's music. Well, look, I record myself singing. When I write a song, I record myself singing the song. And then I upload that into Suno AI. When you upload original material into Suno, now, yes, there are some people who only do prompting. And that's my major problem with people. They want to lump everybody who uses artificial intelligence into one pot. People use artificial intelligence differently. There are some people who just prompt and, I want a late 1980s neo-soul love ballad or whatever. And Suno will generate the lyrics, the melody, everything. There's some people who use it that way. I don't use Suno that way. I create my own melodies and I write my own lyrics. And when you give Suno original material, it doesn't have to, common sense, it doesn't have to go take somebody else's lyrics because I gave it the lyrics. It doesn't have to go take somebody else's melody. I gave it the melody, the original melody. And then it takes my lyrics and my melody and it interprets that, analyzes that, and it places vocals and the instrumental and the range on top of my creation, my melody and my lyrics. And it produces a song, a full song. That's original. It's not stolen. So that's a lie that people like to tell. And then there's some people who use AI more sophisticated than me. They take that product and they put it into their DAW, their digital audio workspace, and they a song is made up of different tracks. So you have the vocal track, you have the back end vocal track, you have the drums, the synth, the horns or whatever, and then you can manipulate each one of those tracks and then put them together to make the full song. So some people will go in and change the drums, they'll go in and they'll change the vocals, adding more creativity to the process. So people use artificial intelligence differently. And my material is original. But now if you want to say that Suno, for example, is stealing or whatever platform is stealing, they don't call it that. They call it fair use. But a judge will decide that in a court of law. But they probably got it from the music industry because they've been stealing people's music for years. Just like somebody will break in your house and steal everything out your house, or people will break in your car and steal everything out your car, people will steal your music. And of course, the famous example of that is Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke. They were sued by the Marvin Gaye family, his family, for copyright infringement on one of his songs, and they had to pay the family, Pharrell Williams, Robin Thicke, their record companies or whatever, had to pay, really probably the insurance company, had to pay Marvin Gaye's family millions of dollars. So, then people say, well, you don't own it. I think I've already addressed that. With Suno, they transfer the ownership to me as long as you have a paid subscription to them. And, so people say all kinds of crazy stuff to try to disparage artificial intelligence and so forth. And those of us who use it when it comes to music creation. Now I want to criticize my people who are songwriters, lyricists, melodies, creatives, because most songwriters, they spend their entire life or their entire career begging other people to record their music or their songs, and you don't have to do that anymore. I refuse to do that. Put your own music out. You can use artificial intelligence like I do. You can have an AI artist record your song and have that out, or you can go the traditional way. And then there's too many games. It's too much politics in the music business. The music business is a mess. Especially, so you have, today you have like 10, 15 people writing songs, which is Diane Warren, the legendary Diane Warren. She's written so many great songs. She's incredible. She's had 9 number ones, and she's had like 30 some odd top 10 hits. She's remarkable. She said, I agree with her. How do 15 people write a song? It's stupid. Everybody wrote a word or a line. So this is the game. So people have discovered that publishing is very lucrative. Okay. People have discovered that publishing is very lucrative. So when you hear a song on the radio, you have 2 copyrights. You have the sound recording, the master, that belongs to the record label. We talked about that earlier. That belongs to the record label and or the producer, okay? And they have a copyright over that. Then you have the publishing side of that recording, which is the underlying composition, the lyrics, the melodies, harmonies, that belongs to the songwriter. That's how the songwriter gets paid. So people have discovered that publishing can be lucrative because it's perpetual. It's consistent income over time. And you never know when a song will blow up, So, for example, Dolly Parton, she wrote "I Will Always Love You." That's the famous example. Elvis Presley wanted to record her song because he loved that song, "I Will Always Love You." But he had this rule, or his manager had the rule, that if he was going to record your song, you had to sign the song over to him, or you had to give up half of your publishing. And Dolly had already had a hit with that song in the early 70s. And she basically said, hell no, I'm not I'm not giving you my song, and I'm not giving you any of the publishing. And so that was one of the best decisions she ever made, because 20 years later, or 20 some odd years later, Whitney Houston records that song, and it's a global, gigantic, enormous hit of enormous proportions. Dolly made millions and millions and millions of. She likes to joke that Whitney Houston made her rich. And it took 20 years, but you just never know. A song, if it's a hit already, it's going to keep making money. And then it can blow up again, several times. You just never know. It may take 5 years, 10 years. So people know that. So they want some of the publishing. So you have artists who will tell you that they won't record your song unless you give them 25% of your publishing. or you have 15 people on a song because everybody wants some of that publishing. They want 1%, or 1% of, if a song makes $20 million, 1% of that, that's what, $200,000 or what, $20,000. It's a lot of money. So they want some of that publishing, and so that's what the game is. And I write by myself, but I'm not opposed to writing with other people. 2 or 3 people, or and I'm not going to give you any of my publishing unless you actually sit down and help me write the song. And I'm definitely not going to write with 10 or 15 people. So that's the kind of foolishness that you have to deal with in the music business. And then you have other politics. The artist may love the song, but if the label doesn't like the song, then they won't record it. Put your own music out. Now, there are challenges with that. Because it's like opening a restaurant. There are a gazillion restaurants. Nobody knows your restaurant is there. So you have to promote it as best you can, through advertisement, word of mouth, or whatever. And so the same thing is true with the same thing is true with music. There are a gazillion songs. There's an ocean of songs. Nobody knows about your song, and sometimes people just don't care because music has been devalued these days. And so you have to promote the song as best you can. So there's some drawbacks to that, but you just, your music is part of your legacy, and you just put your own music out. Stop willingly playing the game, and going along with these games and this program. So I'm a maverick in that sense, But, somewhere along the line, people have gotten it twisted. The vocalist, the recording artist, is extremely important. They interpret the song, they give the song life, they breathe life into the lyrics, and make it their own. They're very important. The producer, is very important. They give the song life and make it sound good, and but let's not get it twisted. Music starts with the writer, the melodist. It actually starts with the melody, and then the lyrics. It starts with the writer. But some kind of way, we've elevated the recording artists, the Whitney Houstons and whoever else, and they're very important. They're very talented. And some kind of way, the producer, when some people hear a song that they love, they want to know who the artist is. Some people want to know who the producer is. I want to know who wrote the song. That's why I was telling you that my favorite song in the world is "That's What Friends Are For," and it was written by Carol Bear Sager, the legendary Carol Bear Sager, and the late great Burt Bacharach. They were married at the time when they wrote that song. So I want to know who wrote the song. I love the songwriter. I love the lyricist, the melodist, because that's where music starts. Again, the Whitney Houstons, the recording artists, the Shaka Khan's, and Shaka, she writes too. The Luther Vandrosses, he wrote too. They're extremely important. The producers, the Teddy Rileys and the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they write too. They produce and write. But music starts with the writer. Let's not get it twisted. So, anyway, I just had a lot of stuff to get off my chest when it comes to artificial intelligence and when we use it to create music and all of the controversy around it. But we have these gatekeepers who I want to end the video, but I want to talk about the gatekeepers. Lastly, there's a recording artist. Her name is Kehlani. I think she just won a Grammy this year, and I'm going to listen to some of her music. But there's this woman who created an AI artist called Zania Monet. Zania Monet is not real. She's an AI artist. And the woman who created her is a poet. And Kehlani and her have been in, a back and forth. And Kehlani has been very vocal about her opposition to artificial intelligence. She says she hates it, although she probably uses ChatGPT or Gemini or, one of these other. But I think she opposes it when it comes to music creation. But she had the nerve to tell the woman who created Zania Monet, the artificial, the AI artist, that she needs to stick to poetry. And I'm like, you don't tell her that she needs to stick to poetry. Who are you? See, that's the problem in the music business too. You have these gatekeepers. They want to control the money. They want to control who can make music and who cannot make music and who's an artist and who's not an artist. And, because you didn't sleep on somebody's floor and you didn't struggle for 10 years, you're not an artist, this kind of foolishness. And I just thought that was, very insensitive. The woman who created Zania Monet, the AI artist, she got some kind of $3 million deal. And so she created a lot of controversy, and she's been in the news, and everybody has an opinion about, AI artists and AI music and so forth and so on. But, that woman is an artist too. She's a poet, and she takes up poetry. Now, poetry is not the same as lyric writing. But see, that's the power of Suno. It can take a poem and turn it into a song, a full song. And people love the music, apparently. She's had some success. And but that woman, you don't tell her that she needs to stick to poetry. Like, who are you to tell her that she's as much an artist as you are? I'm an artist. I'm a melodist. I'm a lyricist. I'm an artist too. Just because we use artificial intelligence, I'm not going to allow anyone to diminish my artistry. I'm an artist too. And so you have these people, who think they are superior and that they will decide who can make music and who will not make music. So anyway, I could just go on and on and on, but I'm going to wrap this up. But I just had so much stuff on my chest that I wanted to get off my chest when it comes to artificial intelligence and, the controversy about it when using it for music production. And yes, some people are going to be displaced. That happens, with every technology. But I think the benefit is wonderful. Because of artificial intelligence, I'm able to share my music, my songs that I've been hearing in my head. I can actually hear my music. Dolly Parton talks about that. She said the first time she was in Nashville, she was driving home and she heard Whitney Houston's version for the first time of I Will Always Love You. She said she had to pull to the side of the road because she could not believe that her song could sound like that. And I had a similar experience with Suno. I had all my songs in my head, and then I uploaded them and I could not believe that my songs could sound like that. And that's when I decided, you know what? I'm 57 years old. I'm not about to move to LA. I'm not about to move to New York. I'm not about to move to Nashville. You know, I'll travel and, you know, but I'm just going to put my music out, you know, and see what happens. You just never know what will happen. And so that's what I'm doing. You know, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. But anyway, I just wanted to let people know I'm a real person. I'm not a fake, you know, I'm not a bot. I'm not a, you know, and I have 4 brothers. I have my nieces and nephews and friends, and I have a career. I'm not a starving artist, sleeping on somebody's floor, no. But, you know, so I just wanted to get all this stuff off my chest. Listen, if you, I don't know, you know, maybe you're a fan of the channel. Maybe you're just visiting for the first time. Maybe I've written a song that you like. You know, if you enjoy this video, if you've enjoyed this video, or if you enjoy one of my songs, or you like one of my songs, you know, leave a message, subscribe, push the like button. As per usual, I have lots more music coming, so I'll leave it there. Thank you. Take care, and we'll talk maybe again some other time. And it's always about the music. Enjoy the music. Thank you.